Welcome everybody to this informative session about the Enhanced COP and the Early Adopter Program. My name is Bernard Frey, Senior Manager on Sustainability Reporting at the UN Global Compact. I'm joined by Mona May Navarro. Together we're working on the implementation of the Enhanced COP. Thank you for joining us today. For your information, this session is being recorded and will be made available to participants afterwards. The local network Turkey has also provided interpretation of this session in Turkish language. For those who would like to listen to simultaneous translation into Turkish, please click on the interpretation button and select the respective channel. As you know, in 2021, we have successfully completed the process to review the current COP. The changes made to the COP aim to make it a much more valuable tool for our participants and stakeholders. We thank all organizations that have contributed to the review of the COP. The Enhanced COP will be effective for all participating companies in 2023. In 2022, participants can choose to register to our Early Adopter Program and already use the new COP system. We will learn about this in today's session. Let's have a look at the objectives of today's meeting. The objectives of today's meeting are the following. We want to highlight the value proposition of the Enhanced Communication on Progress, the COP. We want to invite participating companies to join the Early Adopter Program. And we want to share information about the structure and the elements of the Enhanced COP questionnaire and the digital platform futures. I will now pass it over to my colleague, Mona May Navarro.
Thank you very much, Bernard. We are delighted to be presenting today on our Enhanced Communication on Progress, its main features, and how you can start becoming familiar with it via our 2022 Early Adopter Program. I will start today with an overview of the main elements and requirements of the Enhanced COP, which have been integrated in an effort to add value and streamline sustainability reporting for all our participating companies. The Enhanced COP, which will become active and effective for all participating companies in 2023, will consist of two main elements that all participants will need to submit annually. A new COP questionnaire designed to help companies measure and demonstrate progress on the 10 principles and the SDGs, while also fostering learning in order to support continuous improvement. And the annual CEO statement reaffirming the company's commitment to the 10 principles and to the initiative, which can now be electronically signed. Both elements, the COP questionnaire and the CEO statement, can be completed and submitted through our new easy-to-use digital platform, which will be housed in our UN Global Compact website. Just a quick note also to mention that sustainability reports can be uploaded, but are not mandatory. You have the option to add these to complement your report. My colleague Bernard will provide more specific details on both the questionnaire and the digital platform in the next slides. Now, in terms of the added value and the benefits for participants of their Enhanced Communication on Progress, by filling out the new questionnaire via our digital platform, participants will be able to build credibility and brand value by publicly showing their commitment to corporate sustainability, the 10 principles, and the SDGs. Participants will also be able to identify gaps and thus be able to set goals to improve sustainability performance year to year. Additionally, and as mentioned, participants will also be able to measure and demonstrate progress to stakeholders on the 10 principles and do so in a consistent and harmonized way. Additionally, there's also the option of, now that you're reporting all this data, to be able to compare progress against peers with access to one of the largest sources of free, public, and comparable corporate sustainability data. At the same time, now that we will have this digital platform, participants will be able to receive insights, they will be able to learn and continuously improve performance, as the platform will actually be providing more technical help, links to resources, guidances at every step of your submission and every step of the process. As mentioned, the Enhanced COP will become effective in 2023 and going forward, but I would like to briefly walk over some of the main characteristics of the Advanced of the enhanced requirement, which also entails some important changes from what we have currently today. In terms of the submission period, now we will switch to a more universal due date, which will entail a period between 1 February and 31 May each calendar year. Each calendar year. And this will mean that throughout the calendar year, you'll be able to submit between these months in order to have an active status. As mentioned, there are two COP elements in the as part of the communication on progress, which entail the electronic CEO letter and the submission of the COP questionnaire. Failure to submit by the deadline, which is 31 May, will actually be resulting in a non-communicating status. This status could be reverted to active if the participant submits the required COP elements by 30th November. So that means that there'll be a period until 30th November, which you will use to be able to revert the status of non-communication. If this non-communicating participant does not meet the 30th deadline, they will be delisted from the UN Global Compact for failure to communicate on progress. So these are some of the main characteristics of the 2023 requirement, which will be starting to be available for all participants. Now, in terms of what happens for 2022, and in order to help companies familiarize with the actual 2023 and beyond COP, we're offering the opportunity for participants to join the Early Adopters Program. Companies who would like to join have this unique opportunity in order to test and provide some feedback on what will be the COP. So some particular benefits of joining the Early Adopters Program include an early access to the tools and resources, including some training sessions and obviously early access to the digital platform. There will also be the opportunity to, because you join the program, because you're also now being able to test the system, you're also going to be able to provide targeted feedback that will shape and improve the platform before its full release. So it would also help the Global Compact to have a good number of participants testing the platform and getting the feedback we need to ensure that the 2023 launch is very successful. At the same time, you also get the early learning experience of answering the questionnaire, being prepared and understanding what is being asked in this questionnaire, so that joining will provide that early learning experience. And being part of the program will also carry benefits of some recognition as joiner of the program on our UN Global Compact website. So we will showcase participants in the company profile on particular news items and other forms of communication, as well as we're thinking of creating a specific digital cards with specific hashtags that companies could use, for example, on Twitter, saying that they've become an early adopter of the COP and are reporting on the 10 principles, showing support. In terms of the actual requirements and how the program works, as mentioned, this is a voluntary program. This is not mandatory. Companies have the option to choose to join the Early Adopter Program and use the new system to report during 2022, or choose to not participate and continue reporting through the legacy system, meaning the current process that you are currently undertaking with the current due dates as well. An email was sent to all participants early in January, also end of last year, with an open invitation containing a link to an online form, which is the form that you can use to submit your interest in participating in this program. The deadline for registration is 18 February of 2022. And we've put here on this slide some of the main links that you can use to access this online form and submit your interest in becoming an early adopter. One important requirement is that all participants that are active, that currently have an active status, are welcome to join. Unfortunately, those carrying non-communicating status at the moment are not able to participate in the program. One quick note, participants that registered to and are finally confirmed as early adopters by the deadline, which is 18 February, cannot switch back to the current COP system in 2022. This means that if you choose to participate, you need to submit your COP using the new system and cannot choose to go back or try to report with the current legacy system. Failure to submit the new COP by 31 May, which is the early adopter program deadline for submission of the report, will result in a non-communicating status. So just some of the requirements of the program. In terms of the commitment that you acquire by participating in the early adopter program. So as mentioned, the new COP entails of two main elements, the CEO statement and the CEO questionnaire. So meaning that you will be required to submit again your CEO statement expressing continued support for the UN Global Compact and the initiative, and fill out the COP questionnaire online in our new digital platform. The submission period for this two elements, for submitting these two elements and finishing these two elements, is 1 April through 31 May 2022. As mentioned, those companies that are participating in the early adopter program who fail to submit these two elements by 31 May will enter a non-communicating status. As part of the commitment and given that this is a transition to the new system and a way to familiarize, but also help with finalizing this, we'd like to ask also early adopters to obviously try the new platform by filling out the questionnaire and submitting your CEO letter, but also providing feedback on the quality, usability, navigability of the platform, as well as on the COP questionnaire questions. So it'd be great to also get not only the submission, but also your feedback on both the process and the platform. We'll also be holding a number of early adopter program sessions along the way before 1 April. So hopefully you will be able to also attend these sessions. We also are planning to going deeper into explaining the questionnaire in these sessions. The other thing to mention is some companies have current due dates between January and April of 2022. If these companies submit an interest to participate in the program, these will continue to be listed as active through this period and until the submission period of 31 May. Another quick thing to mention, we are also working to develop a number of supporting materials and have developed already a number of materials to help you with understanding and getting familiarized with the COP process and the questionnaire. So a number of things have been created, like guidance to the questionnaire. So you'll see a guidebook which will provide information for all companies in terms of each of the questions, how to calculate if it's a numerative question, and provide links to other resources that are helpful in understanding the questions. We also have a FAQ and have also listed the questions already and made them publicly available in our website, so you can start getting more familiar with what's being asked in the COP questionnaire. A number of videos and tutorials are also being prepared, which explain more of the policy as well as the questionnaire and other requirements of the new COP. So those all are available and will be available in our website. There's a special COP website as well as an early adopter website where you'll find all this information. So this is all information for the early adopter program, but for those participants who choose not to be part of the early adopter program this year, they should continue using the current COP system, meaning using the legacy system, preparing a CEO letter and the usual narrative submission and the deadlines that you have, meaning the due dates, they continue to apply. One quick thing is that because we're implementing the new system starting 2023, we will be dismantling the system by the current system, by December 31, 2022. So participants that are not part of the early adopters program will not be able to submit their report under the current COP system after December 31, 2022. This means that all participants, all companies in the Global Compact will have to start disclosing with the new enhanced COP starting in 2023. So I think I will pass over to my colleague Bernard, who will go more in depth on the particular elements of the communication in progress and the questionnaire, the digital platform, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end to go over some of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Moramai, and please keep the questions coming. In case we are not able to answer all of them in this session, we will follow up also in writing. And please note that we have our early adopter landing page, as mentioned, which includes also 2 FAQs, one overall on the enhanced COP and another one specific on the early adopter program. As mentioned, our new COP aims to serve as a tool for companies to help them understand, measure, track, and transparently disclose their performance on the 10 principles and the SDGs. It is a learning tool that can help our participants drive impact. At the core of the enhanced COP is a new questionnaire to be answered through our new digital platform. Many of you probably have seen the questionnaire, and I posted the link again in one of the chats. Let's have a look at the renewed COP questionnaire. It contains approximately 55 questions on the 10 principles that are connected to our UN Global Compact strategies, strategic areas, and the SDGs. The questionnaire was developed with input from a broad variety of stakeholders. Particularly, we work closely with the 4 UN guardians of our 10 principles, our ILO, the Office of the High Commissioner on Human Rights, UNODC, and UNEP, and also with the organization SHIFT. With these partners, we made sure that the questionnaire is strongly aligned with the UN guiding principles on business and human rights. The questions build on and are aligned with existing reporting frameworks and standards, such as GRI and CDP. They were developed to help participants operationalize and drive impact in the 10 principles. Through the new digital platform, participating companies will be able to fill in the questionnaire and visualize data to help them understand current performance, gaps, and drive progress over time. Next slide, please. I want to provide you with an overview about what guided the development and selection of the questions. So the questions that you will find in the questionnaire are meaningful as they address sustainability issues that are relevant to business participants, regardless of their size, sector, or geography. This is also related to some of the questions we have received. The questionnaire should be applicable and was developed to be applicable to all types of companies. The questions also are feasible for all companies to answer. They are not overly complex, and the required data to answer them will generally be available to those companies already using established global sustainability reporting standards, or available to those companies already producing sustainability reports. Questions are objective, as metrics asked do not need further interpretation. Companies can verify the provided answers against concrete measurements. The questions are also actionable, as topics reflect concrete sustainability practices that companies can influence so that performance can be improved upon. The questionnaire helps track progress over time. And last but not least, questions are comparable, as standardized answer choices and metrics with clear definitions are included, which allows participants to benchmark their progress against peer organizations. Next slide, please. Let's have a look at the overall structure of the questionnaire. The questionnaire of the new COP is organized in 5 sections: governance, human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption. The governance section provides a cross-cutting overview of the company's sustainability governance structure and processes, while the remaining 4 sections go into greater detail on the topics related to our 10 principles. Within each section, questions are grouped within different categories that you will find at the left. Those categories address the processes and policies that demonstrate a company's commitment to progress. They address efforts taken to prevent negative social and environmental impact. They address performance indicators, as well as remediation and reporting mechanisms to address grievances and reflect on lessons learned. These categories are aligned with relevant elements of the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights Framework, the global leading framework for businesses to address human rights and social issues. Many questions, as mentioned, are linked to standards from well-established reporting frameworks, such as GRI. You will find the reference to those standards under each of the questions. Businesses that disclose on those standards will already have the information available to answer our questions. Most of the questionnaire and its sections follow a parallel structure. The questions are highly likely to be relevant or material to companies regarding their size, sector, or geography. However, the human rights and environment sections contain additional nuance. These nuances relate to helping companies identify and disclose on those issues most material to them. Let's have a brief look at these nuances and the difference among these sections. In the human rights section, the first question, HR1, provides companies the opportunity to select those human rights issues considered to be most material by the company. For instance, forced labor, access to water and sanitation, or digital security and privacy. You see the list under the question. Based on the selection of any of these human rights topics, follow-up questions in the human rights sections may appear or not. Those follow-up questions help companies identify ways to address those issues in alignment with the UN Guiding Principles. For instance, if a company selects digital security in this first question that you see as one of the topics identified by the company as material, 6 follow-up questions will appear asking, among others, if the company has a policy on that human rights issue, what effort the company is implementing to prevent negative impacts related to that human rights issue, and if it has a remediation process in place. So the questions are the same for each of the topics selected, and the topic selected would just appear in the answer matrix of the follow-up questions. Next slide, please. In this slide, you see an example of a follow-up question that would be if you would have selected some of the human rights issues in the answer before, this would be the next question appearing. And this question here is asking if the company has a policy commitment in relation to the selected human rights issue. Again, this question would only appear if you would have selected specific human rights issues in the question before. Next slide, please. In the labor section, it is important to understand that labor rights are considered to be a subset of human rights. That is why the topics connected to our labor principles, such as child labor or forced labor, appear in the list of answers under the first human rights question that we showed before, the question HR1. Regardless if in this first question on human rights, if the question has identified those labor issues as material, the company will in any case be prompted to answer related questions in the labor section. For instance, if a company may not have identified in the first human rights question child labor as a material topic to the company. However, as the abolition of child labor is one of the principles of the UN Global Compact, the COP will ask the company questions on that topic in the labor section. So this is the nuance-related labor, that for the topics connected to our 10 principles, in any case, you will be required to answer some labor questions that will also point you at ways to address those issues and learn. The labor section follows the same structure the human rights section, aligned again with the UN Guiding Principles. So the type of questions are the same as within the human rights. For example, the labor section will ask the company how it addresses labor issues connected to our 10 principles through its policies, through stakeholder engagement, or by providing remediation, among others. These will be the same type of questions that a company would answer for the other issues, for the other human rights issues selected previously. Next slide, please. Related to the environment section. The environment section contains 11 questions that will need to be answered by all UN Global Compact participants. Amongst those questions are topic-specific questions on climate action and energy use. Climate and energy questions have been included for all companies to reflect the outstanding relevance of those topics, both in the sustainability agenda, as well as in sustainability reporting frameworks and standards. In addition, participating companies that operate in certain sectors and subsectors will be requested to answer additional questions on the topic of water, land use and biodiversity, air pollution, and waste. It's a max of 2 questions usually for each of these topics in case your company operates in certain sectors. For instance, a company working in the retail sector will be asked to answer additional environment questions on the topic of waste. A company working in the food production sector will be asked to answer additional environment questions on water and on land use and biodiversity. It's a max of about 10 questions that could appear in the environment section, depending on the sector. But this will be the case only for very few companies. The COP guidebook contains a table with the environment section, the environment questions connected to the different sectors for your easy overview. The new COP digital platform will automatically identify the sector of each company, and the relevant environment questions for each company will appear automatically. Next slide, please. We have seen an overview about the content structure and logic of the questionnaire sections. Now let's have a look at the type and format of the questions themselves. Throughout the questionnaire, you will see a variety of questions, question formations, including multiple choice, quantitative, and narrative questions, with most questions formatted as a multiple choice matrix. This makes it easier for companies to respond in a timely fashion. Companies can also choose to provide additional information that allow for customized responses. Let's have a look at the different question types. Next slide, please. In this slide, you find an example of a multiple choice question. In this case, the company can select more than one answer among the responses, except for the case of none of the above. But otherwise, it can select more than one answer as applicable. Next slide, please. Matrix questions allow to respond the same question for each of the 4 areas of the 10 principles: human rights, labor, environment, anti-corruption. You see those areas on the left. And then for each of those areas, you will select one topic in one answer in the line. And you will see that the questions are structured to promote learning by embedding corporate best practices directly in the answer options. In many cases, the answer options should show a natural progression that can publicly showcase a company's continuous improvement year over year. For instance, the question, has a company appointed an individual, a group responsible for each of the following sustainability topics, uses the answer choices to promote improvement. The answer choices progress from no one is specifically responsible for this topic on your left to yes, with direct influence at the highest level of the organization on the right. Next slide, please. Some questions require a numerical response. They are quantitative. Guidance on how to do the calculations are contained in our new guidebook. And we usually reference methodology or calculation guidance from established reporting sources and frameworks. We do not reinvent the wheel and have not created our own methodologies or calculations. Next slide, please. At the end of each section on human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption, there's one narrative question where companies can briefly describe additional actions they are implementing and the goals they have set to advance the 10 principles. So most of the questions are standardized, but we will have 4 narrative questions at the end of each of the sections connected to our labor principles. Next slide, please. As you may have seen, every question has also a please provide additional information kind of text box for additional context or to add links to relevant websites. These text boxes are in most cases optional. So companies are invited to contextualize the answer selected or to add links or provide any other additional information that they consider to be useful for its stakeholders. In some cases, providing information in these text boxes will become mandatory. This depends on the answer selected in the question. For example, in those questions, if applicable, where you have selected the answer not applicable, other, or choose not to disclose, providing a brief explanation in the text box of why you have selected those answers will become mandatory. Next slide, please. Another point relates to third-party assurance. We get this question a lot, and just to reiterate that following good sustainability reporting practice, we encourage to assure the data submitted through the COP. However, that data assurance is not a requirement, it's only encouraged. The questionnaire has one dedicated question on third-party data assurance, where companies can disclose if and how they have ensured their COP data. You can see that question on the slide. Next slide, please. Another point relates to the sharing of the COP data submitted by early adopters. So just to reiterate that if you join the early adopter program, the COP information that you will submit through the new COP will be made publicly available on the website of the UN Global Compact, so that there's no difference with the legacy COP. All COPs are public, and that will also start for early adopters. And companies will have the option to download their completed questionnaire once submitted. In addition, in terms of sharing COP data this year and in the future, we are exploring options to make raw data and question responses available through APIs. So these options are being explored this year and for the years beyond. APIs, application programming interface, and are programs that allow easy sharing of raw data among organizations. Next slide, please. So finally, also, again, about reiterating the value of the digital platform itself, of the new COP, the value that it will bring to participants and stakeholders. The new platform will offer a lot of benefits. It will, among others, provide technical help, resource, and guidance to companies answering the new questionnaire. Features that will be part of the digital platform include language selection. The COP will be translated into different languages. We will start to translate it into the 6 formal UN languages prior to 2023. But also over time, we will add translations into other relevant languages. Companies using the new COP will be able to bookmark questions when answering the questionnaire to easily go back to them at any time. The questionnaire will also include an auto-saving feature to support a completion of the questionnaire. The platform will allow companies to export their completed questionnaire into a PDF. And the digital platform will include the information contained in the guidebook for easy access to help answer the questions. So aspects related to the glossary, so the terms that we have in the glossary will be easily accessible in the digital platform. The connection of the questions to the related reporting standards will easily be accessible through the platform. Rational and calculation guidance will also be accessible, as well as the mapping of each of the questions to SDG targets and the 10 principles. All that information is contained in the COP guidebook, but will also be available on the digital platform. Over time, additional features will be added, including features that will help set goals to improve sustainability performance year over year. We recognize goal setting as being a key element to learn and drive progress by our participants. Importantly, data aggregation and visualization features will be developed over time too, to make the tool immensely valuable go-to platform to access and assess corporate sustainability information. With that, I give it back to Moromai. And we can actually open the Q&A session. We will be happy to answer questions as they come in.
Yeah, I think that there are a number of questions in terms of the deadline for both 2022 and 2023. So it'd be worth clarifying that a bit, and I'll go back just quickly on the presentation. So for 2022, for participants who join the early adopter program, the deadline for submitting the COP using the digital platform is 1 April through 31 May 2022. This applies to participants that join the early adopter program. So if you choose to join and you have due dates from the legacy system, these do not apply, and you have to make your submission between 1 April and 31 May 2022. This is for the early adopter program. For the 2023 launch of the actual new COP, the deadlines for, or the submission period is 1 February through 31 May each calendar year. This submission period will start being effective in 2023 and will continue year over year, each calendar year. And so this is why there may be a little bit of confusion, because we have two different submission periods, one in 2022 and then the one that will actually be effective for all participants in 2023 and beyond. So just wanted to clarify that. There are a number of other questions in terms of confirmations, because I believe some companies have already registered and haven't received confirmation. So just a quick reminder, the deadline for registering to the early adopter program ends in 18 February. And we will start sending a first wave of confirmations in June 25th. So you will receive a confirmation email with some additional information on upcoming sessions in preparation for the submission that starts in 1 April. And then we will send a second wave of confirmation to participants after the deadline ends, which is 18 February. So if you've submitted interest, please watch out for an email coming 25th January. And for those who are yet to sign up, a second wave will come after 18 February. Let's see other questions. I think there's also some questions around being able to see the questionnaire before deciding or not to join the program. The questions are available on our website already. You can download them and see there's a PDF, and the guidebook is also available, so you can see the type of guidance that is already available to help you fill out the questionnaire. There is also questions around whether the questionnaire is applicable to smaller companies. The answer is yes. The questionnaire was meant to be applicable to all types of companies. As Bernard mentioned, there's a range of different possible answers that can be provided. And as you answer year by year, you'll also be able to notice the progress that you've been making by answering the questionnaire every year. Let's see if there are other questions. Yes, there's questions around exporting or being able to download the questionnaire. This will be available. Companies will be able to fill in the questionnaire and then be able to export the answers for sharing as an Excel, for example. And so this option is and will be available for companies. Just to mention also that the questionnaire will be publicly available in the company website. That's part of the UN Global Compact website. So companies will be able to see their answers in their company profile. Let's see other questions. I think that some companies or some participants are asking about whether the questionnaire generates any rankings or ratings. Do you want to provide an answer, Bernard?
Yes, the Global Compact will not rank or score companies based on the answers of the questionnaire. The COP is meant as a tool to learn and drive impact. And companies, and one of the benefits is that companies will be able to compare itself against peers. And the data will be publicly available. So data analysts, data providers can use COP data for their own scores, methodologies, and ratings. We welcome that data analysts reference the 10 principles and use publicly available data for their work. But the Global Compact itself will not score or rank companies. However, in the coming future, we may use some of the answers or the data provided in the COP for our own recognition schemes. For example, to review our LEAD program, which is currently on hold and will be reviewed. So that will be a possibility that we are exploring indeed. There have been also a few other questions in terms of the type of data to be inputted into the COP question, or what period that data should be. So we expect, as we are now having a universal submission period where all companies, starting in 2023, where all companies will be requested to complete the questionnaire between February and May. We expect companies then using the data collected in their latest data collection cycle. So if a company closes its data collection process, let's say in August of a calendar year, it can use that August data in the coming calendar year to answer the COP, for example, then in February, March, or April, or May. That is perfectly fine. We do not expect that companies then, in that sense, change their data collection processes, but they can easily use that data already for whatever coming COP is due.
Yeah, a related question. Do companies need to answer all questions or only the ones that they have recognized to be material and they report on GRI, for example?
All questions are mandatory to be answered. The questions have been developed in a way that we consider them that they are most likely to be relevant or material to all companies, to all our participating companies. However, we understand that some questions may not be specifically material to your company. In that case, there are answer options such as not applicable or none of the above that can be selected. You can then also provide a short explanation of why that question is not material to your company.
Okay, there's another question about whether participants will be required to submit evidence of materiality assessments conducted on some of the topics, for example.
In the question on materiality, you can choose to provide, for example, a link to a materiality assessment or a link to your sustainability report that may contain your materiality matrix or any additional information. That is optional. But the question that we have, for example, the first question on human rights that we showed, we just ask the company to select those topics that are considered to be material. We are not asking specific details on the materiality assessment process that they may have done.
Yeah, I think a repetitive question is, will companies have the freedom to click a lot of questions no and still complete the COP questionnaire?
Strictly speaking, yes. Obviously, the COP is a tool to drive learning and to help you increase your ambition over time, set goals. So over time also, we may explore options to address those companies that may be selecting no, let's say, over many years. For the moment, there are no consequences in doing that. And particularly, again, we want to use this COP to help you learn, to help you identify actions that you can implement, to help you set goals. And we hope then that over time, companies will increase their ambition. Also, being this a public document, there's always an incentive that towards your stakeholders, companies may want to choose that they are taking ambitious action to implement the 10 principles.
Right, and this is also a way for you to see year to year whether you've been progressing on certain topics, right? Because if you answer no year to year, that means you haven't been advancing on certain things. So it's also that notion of continuously improvement that's embedded in the questionnaire. Hopefully that will also help the companies progress year to year. Let's see other questions. Can you continue as an active signatory, let's see, of the UNGC without doing this new enhanced COP? Will a regular COP as per last year still suffice both in 2022 and 2023? Is the enhanced status an optional extra?
So it is, in 2022, you can still continue using the legacy system or the current COP, but starting in 2023, all participating companies will have to use the new COP. The new COP will be the only one available. Again, it's an improvement. It's an improved tool through the digital platform, through the questionnaire that will help you drive progress. And that will be the new and only COP system of the UN Global Compact.
Yes, let's see other types of questions. Do we have to attach company documents as evidence of what we declare into the questionnaire? That's a helpful one.
For the moment, not. We have a few questions that ask you if you have a policy on certain labor, human rights issues, etc. We may consider in the near future to ask you to provide evidence of that. For the moment, we will include that as an optional, and we strongly encourage you then to upload a document or to provide the link to that policy. Overall, the optional text box will allow you to provide additional information.
There are two questions on the questionnaire, which I think are relevant. Where are the SDGs in the new COP? And also, how can we find out already at this point which sector questions apply to our COP?
Mm-hmm. The SDGs are the driving agenda with the 10 principles of our work. So the questions of the questionnaire have been developed first of all in direct connection with the 10 principles. But as we know, implementing the 10 principles means also contributing to the SDGs. So we have mapped each of the questions to the 10 principles and to the relevant SDG targets. So you will easily see that by taking actions on some questions, to which SDGs and SDG targets your company could contribute. And the other way around, if you have identified some SDG targets that you want to contribute, you can see which questions of the COP refer to that and already get inspiration of what type of actions you can take. In terms of the second question, our COP guidebook provides the table for the environment questions mapped against the subsectors. So you will already see, depending on your subsector, if some of the additional sector-specific environment questions apply to you or not.
Great. Okay. I think there are more questions in terms of due dates, again, on the early adopter program. Just to clarify, if you decide to participate in the early adopter program, the due date will be the submission period between 1 April and 31 May, meaning that the last date to submit your COP would be 31 May. After that, if there's no submission, you enter non-communication status for early adopters.
There are also some questions on the features of the platform. And yes, indeed, the platform will allow auto-saving. It will allow to close it and get back to the questionnaire before your formal and final submission every year. So the digital platform will contain all these features to make it easy for you to answer the questionnaire.
Let's see.
And it may have been, I think it has been answered, but just to reiterate, I see two additional questions on the period of the data to be submitted. So again, for the early adopter program also this year, you could use the data, for example, of a sustainability report published in October 2021. That would be fine. So you can use the data of the last data collection process. So that can also encourage you to take part to the early adopter program, to already get used to the platform, to access all the benefits. And you can do so by using the data that you may have published more recently in your annual sustainability report.
Yeah, there's a good question about differentiation levels. What happens with the advanced COP? So for 2023, the COP, the enhanced COP will no longer have these differentiation levels. At the moment, we'll be starting with a questionnaire applicable to everybody. And then we'll see if as the COP evolves and we get more data, this will be something that will be brought back in due course. But at the moment, when the COP becomes effective in 2023, there will be no differentiation levels. There's a question also on early adopter numbers. How many companies or proportion of companies are you hoping will join? So we have a target of about 1,000, but anywhere between 500 and 1,000, I think there is no real cap. That's what we're expecting. And hopefully we do get a good diversity in terms of sectors, sizes, and locations. Let's see other questions. Does the platform have a section where you can see how the question relates to other reporting mechanisms? Yes, when you're filling the questionnaire in the digital platform, you'll see that each question is linked to the particular frameworks or standards that is related to. So you'll be able to see. The guidance book also shows this. So we're making sure that all information that you need is readily available either on the platform or as part of the guidebook.
There's another question on how early adopters will give feedback to the program. So we will include a questionnaire and invite early adopters to provide their feedback, both on the digital platform as well as on the questionnaire or any other comments that they may have. And that will help us adjust and improve the platform for the full launch in 2023.
There is another question saying, what is the digital platform? Will there be technical support contacts available for users to contact with any technical issues? Access, yes. So the digital platform will be hosted in our website. It's a platform that will enable you to fill in the questionnaire, view your results, filter, download the report with your submission, and guide you also, because it will provide links to the different resources connected to the questions in the questionnaire. So in addition to that, there'll be a kind of a help desk feature that will be available through the digital platform, but we'll also make sure that at the Global Compact, there's a help desk that will provide support with any technical issues. There's a good question about what is the reason for the new COP format? Are you hoping to merge COP reporting with ESG reporting?
The review of the COP followed trends in corporate sustainability reporting and followed also trends in reporting regulation, as we can see in the European Union and many other regions. A standardized format helps us to help stakeholders to better access and compare and analyze data, and helps also companies to point them at relevant actions that they can implement, in our case, to advance the 10 principles. So the previous format in terms of receiving the PDF documents did not allow stakeholders nor the Global Compact to properly analyze information and help to develop our programmatic work to support you, our participants, in advancing the 10 principles. So with this standardized format, we see a lot of benefits, both for you as well as for stakeholders. There's also a question on how the questionnaire and the questions relate to existing standards, reporting standards and frameworks. You will see that under each question, we specifically name or link to the relevant reporting standards, for example, to GRI or CDP, and very specific which standard we are linking to. So if your company, for example, is already disclosing using GRI or CDP, for the relevant questions, it will have that information available to easily answer our question.
Okay, let's see other questions.
And we have received several questions in terms of submitting or attaching a report. Again, yes, you can provide a link or upload your sustainability or annual report and as an annex and in order to contextualize information provided. This is optional. You don't have to do that, but I'm sure stakeholders will welcome that.
Yeah, there's also a question in terms of the value add of joining the early adopters program. So just to reiterate, I think that participating this year just gives you an added advantage of already understanding, getting familiarized with the questionnaire, being able to have early access to a lot of these tools, resources, but also just making sure that you understand and have this early learning experience of being able to answer the questions and understand the new COP questionnaire. And not only that, but you'll also be able to provide the feedback that will also help the Global Compact shape and improve the platform before it's being released in 2023. So we think this is a great opportunity for you to already get familiarized, provide very good feedback. I think we've been getting great questions that would also help us shape next steps and include these things also in finalizing the development of this. But it's a great opportunity, and you'll also be able to get the recognition in that sense, as listed here on this slide. Let's see other questions. I don't know if you see any other particular questions. I know that there are some very specific ones on due dates, which we can also take by email, or I think the FAQs that have been posted in our COP webpage also contain very good information around the due dates between due dates that will be relevant for 2022 and what will happen in 2023.
There's also one question on support services. So we plan to establish also a help desk that will help answer questions related to access to the platform, password issues, any glitch that may occur. We hope not, but we will have a help desk available to answer those type of questions. And in terms of the number of companies that we expect to join the early adopter program, we hope to have more than 500 companies across all regions and countries. So on average, you expect for each local networks, we have about 69 local networks, that for each local network to have several companies.
Okay, and that's good. I think we try to cover most of the similar questions around both the program and the new COP that will be effective in 2023. I think we'd like to take a few minutes just to make the call to action, join the 2022 Early Adopter Program. There's more information in our UN Global Compact website, and there's a specific website on the Early Adopter Program where you will find a button to the online form for registration. As mentioned before, there's going to be 2 confirmation emails. One first wave of confirmation will come January 25th for those that have already registered. And then the second one will come 18th February. With these confirmation emails, we will be sending more information on next steps, additional training sessions for preparation on the Early Adopter Program. This is also to say that more training sessions will also be available overall for all participants, because we have this 2022 transition year where we want to make sure all our participants are well aware, understand the questionnaire and the requirements. So we'll make all these information and training sessions available to all participants. For any particular doubts, questions, concerns, you can email us at copearlyadopter@UN Global Compact or copteam@unglobalcompact.org. And yeah, we're very happy to answer any questions or provide any support. Please also visit our COP website in the UNGC website. All of this information that we've shared is there with the relevant links to the guidebooks and to the different resources. We will also make this recording available in the Early Adopter Program webpage, as well as the slides. I don't know, Bernard, if you have any other final questions or things that you'd like to bring up.
No, we want to really thank you, all of you, encourage you to join the program. It's a really exciting time. The new COP will be a great tool for our participants, and we look forward to many of you starting using it already this year. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for attending today, and we hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Goodbye.